Well, I think it's time to return to the world of Tarzan again, as it's one of my goals of this channel is to try to review all of the old classic Tarzan films from this era. So today I wanted to look at Tarzan Triumphs from 1943. It starred Johnny Weismuller, Francis Gifford, and Johnny Sheffield. And in this one, the Lord of the Jungle faces off against, well, I don't want to get demonetized, so I'll just refer to them as German soldiers visiting the jungle. I'll give an overview of the film and then offer some closing thoughts. Well, the film opens up with the character of Boy, played by Johnny Sheffield, who's taking an elephant ride with Cheetah. Now, Boy, it seems, wants to get a closer look at the forbidden city of Palandria. But be careful, up on that cliff. So after he takes a fall, a native woman named Zandra appears, played by actress Francis Gifford, and makes a daring rescue, and Boy is fine, of course. Now we find out, courtesy of some of his exposition, that Jane apparently is off in London. Now in real life, actress Maureen O'Sullivan wanted a break from the series, but more on that later. So anyhow, Boy is grateful for the save, but there's no way back up because this broken rock trail had crumbled behind them, so Boy calls for Tarzan, and he helps get them out of their mess. Now, after the rescue, Tarzan is thankful to Zandra, but they leave because Tarzan's way is to keep to himself, isolationist. Now, keep that theme in mind because it's a theme that will come up later in the film. Now, back at Tarzan's place, Boy reads out loud a note from Jane, and she talks about how she's in London caring for her sick mother, and she makes mention of the Second World War. Now, Boy is sure that Tarzan could really beat those German soldiers. Again, some subtle foreshadowing, but anyhow, the next day, Cheetah is up to her usual silliness. So after naughty Cheetah steals some fruit from some monkeys, Tarzan tells her off that she needs to go and bring back the fruit to her little friends. And she apologizes by doing some backflips, and the little monkeys reply by flinging some sort of fruit at her head. Well, Tarzan hears a plane pass overhead, but he's relieved that it appears to be just passing by. But on that plane we see, it's some German soldiers, and they're looking for the forbidden city of Palandria, to loot its resources or something. So some of the soldiers parachute out, but one of the parachuting guys gets tangled on a wing and is delayed in his fall. It kind of cuts loose, Rambo style, and he lands near Tarzan and Boy. He radios for his friends right as their plane goes through a flock of birds. Kind of gave me a weird vibe of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade there. But anyhow, he hears the crash of the plane and then he starts to sink into some water. But Tarzan rushes to his rescue. So they bring him back to Tarzan's place and they patch him up. We find out his name is Schmidt, and he's in a weakened state, but he secretly gets his gun ready. And when they ask who he is, he doesn't really reveal who he is, that he's a German soldier. Now, suddenly, Cheetah is outside, dancing away to the music from a newfound radio.
Cheetah, try dance.
Now, meanwhile, a group of German soldiers is moving through the jungle, led by Colonel von Reichardt, played by, of all people, actor Stanley Ridges. I remember him as the encouraging major from the Sergeant York movie with Gary Cooper. Anyhow, he's there, and he's got his binoculars looking at some stock footage of animals. They're on their way to find that hidden city. So they arrive and meet with the leader of Palandria, and everything's very pleasant. And by the way, with them is a German sergeant, played by Sig Rumen, Sergeant Schultz of Stalag 17. Crazy. Well, the people of Palandria, they're very kind and welcoming to these German visitors for now. They dine together, and the soldiers appear to be no more than just peaceful explorers. The next day, though, they show their true colors and set these poor people to work. They want those oils and minerals for the war effort. Now, Zandra tells off the colonel, but he's unfazed, and she pleads for them to leave. Alderaan is a peaceful planet, but the colonel isn't having it, and when Zandra struggles with the colonel, one of the natives tries to help her, but those bad guys shoot him. Oh, come on, Tarzan, where are you? So Zandra realizes that her people are in a lot of trouble, and she makes a run for it. Now, the native that's running with her, well, he gets shot, and she's on her own, and she has to make her way, presumably, to Tarzan to get his help. Well, Schmidt really admires Tarzan's philosophy about isolation from the rest of the world, but all he wants to do is get his radio working, call his buddies, and leave. Now, suddenly they hear a gunshot, and Tarzan runs and finds Zandra. He sees the Germans chasing after her, so he goes to her and they leave together. He finds a river filled with what he calls cannibal fish, which would mean they eat one another, but I think he means piranhas. But in any case, he swings across with Zandra, and he lets the hungry fish have a tasty treat of some of the German soldiers. Now, Cheetah, meanwhile, continues to hide this radio part that Schmidt needs, much to his annoyance. In fact, Schmidt has had enough, and he starts shooting at Cheetah. Corners Cheetah at a cliff, and in a scene of pure awesomeness, Cheetah's elephant friend takes care of the evil dude. So Zandra is in a very weak state, and she needs to talk to Tarzan, but he carries her back and gives her a jungle drink that helps her sleep. And the next day over breakfast, she pleads with Tarzan to go and fight, but Tarzan doesn't want any of that. Even Boy pleads with him to go with Zandra and fight them. But no, Tarzan is content with being an isolationist. And he just wants to go for a swim. Now, Boy goads Zandra into swimming with Tarzan, and they laugh and play some hide and seek in the water and then chill together by the waterside. And you can't help but think, wait a minute, were these producers just maybe trying to bring in the Zandra character as a Jane replacement? Well, more on that theory later. So Boy convinces Zandra to cook dinner for Tarzan, and he's enjoying the food that she has made, but then he figures out it's Zandra tried to bribe Tarzan, so he storms out. So the next day, Zandra decides to head back to her people, and Boy wants to go with her, but no, she tells him he needs to stay. So Tarzan gets to her and convinces her not to go back. But the Germans, meanwhile, have managed to capture Boy. The colonel wants to know where Tarzan and Zandra are, and Boy, he won't cooperate. So he gets slapped around by the colonel. I mean, man, this guy is a jerk. Cheetah's not happy about it at all. Now, Tarzan arrives for the rescue, and he tries to get on a tree branch, and they shoot the branch he's on, and it causes him to fall. Now, thankfully, when he hits the ground, some monkeys cover him with leaves to hide him from those Germans. So they can't find him, and they head back to Palandria, and Zandra helps nurse Tarzan back to health. And once he recovers and finds out that Boy is kidnapped, Boy Tarzan is ticked.
Now, Tarzan make war.
Well, Tarzan makes his way into the city, and on the way he kills a bunch of the soldiers, and, well, he does it artfully, of course, like lifting one with a rope and then dropping him. It's pretty crazy. And he arrives, and he unties Boy, but it looks like the Germans have set up a trap, and they're waiting for him, and the colonel is there, and he's got a gun pointed at Tarzan, and they demand that he drops his knife. So he's trapped, and they tie him up. Oh man, what's going to happen next? Will the bad guys take over Palandria and enslave all of its people? Will Tarzan be able to stop this evil menace that has descended on his peaceful jungle world? Well, no spoilers, so you'll have to watch for yourself to see what happens in the exciting conclusion. So let me offer some closing thoughts here. Tarzan Triumphs came out in 1943, and it was the 7th Tarzan film to star Johnny Weismuller. And it was the first of the series to be produced by Saul Lesser at RKO Radio Pictures. The first 6 had been produced by MGM. And I wonder, will this mean that I will still get my customary copyright claim since it's a different producer? Well, who knows. But anyhow, Johnny Weismuller would continue to play Tarzan until 1949, when he'd finally be replaced by Lex Barker. And I thought this film was a lot of fun. And yeah, maybe it does go a little bit heavy-handed with the propaganda aimed at Germany, and I get it. It was 1943, and that was something that you will see in films of this era from time to time. I mean, just recently I reviewed the detective film Blue, White, and Perfect. It was the Michael Shayne movie, and the same comment was made about that film as well. The bad guys were Germans. It was set during the Second World War, and in that case, they were smuggling diamonds. So it's kind of a theme you see in some of the films from the early 1940s. In the book Tarzan of the Movies, author Gabe Esso writes that, and I'm quoting here, during the early stages of production on Tarzan Triumphs, producer Lesser was contacted by the State Department, which considered Tarzan an important propaganda weapon. They were most eager to have films show that democracy will be victor only if it is alive and active, not complacently inert in its corner of the world. Well, a great believer in freedom, Lesser agreed to do what he could. So there's the end of the quote. And I get what they're doing with the message of the film. Tarzan starts out, he's staunchly isolationist, just wants to be left alone. But once the threat hits home and Boy is captured, well, Tarzan figuratively and literally goes to war. And I think we can kind of figure who Tarzan is supposed to be representing here. The film was released in January 1943. So this was about 13 months after the U.S. had entered World War II, and the film was apparently very popular with wartime audiences. I was reading on TCM, and it mentions that the death count of the German soldiers in this film is 14. I mean, that actually seems kind of high for just a Tarzan film in general. And as mentioned in the review, many of these deaths are in a variety of interesting and creative ways. You had piranhas, getting pushed off a cliff by an elephant, knife attacks, and even near the end of the film, Boy and the villagers join in with killing of these soldiers as well. I mean, honestly, it started to feel like Tarzan started to go full Rambo by the end of the film, sneaking up on the soldiers with his knife drawn. And, I have to admit, hey, as far as action films go, this one was pretty exciting. But, even outside of the propaganda, I felt that this was still enough of a Tarzan film to be satisfying. You still had Johnny Weismuller. He's the greatest Tarzan. He's this larger-than-life jungle hero. He's swinging on his vines and swimming. He's always great in these films. You have Cheetah up to her usual antics, plenty of animal stock footage. You have Johnny Sheffield as essentially Tarzan's son. And the two do really have a great relationship in the film. And of course, Frances Gifford as the lovely character of Zandra, who's functionally the Jane replacement for this film. So I was reading through some of Johnny Weismuller's biography, and apparently the situation was that Maureen O'Sullivan was burned out of the role of Jane and stepped away from the film series. So producer Saul Lesser, who was very fond of Maureen O'Sullivan and didn't want to recast the character, had his hope that she would eventually return. So they incorporated that gimmick of Jane being away in London, caring for a sick mother, and the character sort of remains in the film series through the letters that she sent. I mean, I don't know. That's one of those corny devices I find a little bit cheesy. It's sort of like the Coy and Vance gimmick of the Dukes of Hazzard. Anyone remember that? Is it just me? Yeah, I'm really dating myself with that one. Leave a comment below if you have any idea what I'm talking about. Anyhow, producer Saul Lesser cast Frances Gifford in the role of Zandra. She was on loan from Paramount, with whom she was under contract at the time. Now, Frances Gifford was well known at that point for her role of Jungle Girl, which was this 15-chapter serial she starred in with Republic Pictures. And being basically cast as another Jungle Girl role here, she understandably was reluctant to take it. She wanted more variety, and not just jungle-themed ones. So initially she had a lack of enthusiasm to join the film. But Lesser presented her with an orchid on the first morning of shooting, and after she met with her friendly co-stars, she warmed up to the production. And I think she really did a great job in the character here. Now, this is just me, but I'm sort of on the fence here. Honestly, it's just not Tarzan without Jane, preferably played by Maureen O'Sullivan, although personally I did like Brenda Joyce as the role of Jane when she would eventually take over the role. But yet this Zandra character was an intriguing one to me, in that she really works well with Tarzan and Boy, and in fact, her character being more of a native of the jungle In a way, she seems almost more compatible for a character like Tarzan. And was there a weird romantic tension here in the film between them? It kind of felt like it was there to me, notably them playfully swimming together, which felt like a throwback to some of the earlier Tarzan movies when he would go swimming romantically with Jane. I can't help but wonder if maybe the producers were toying with the idea that, well, if Maureen O'Sullivan is sure she doesn't want to come back, like super duper sure, then maybe we have this character of Zandra, who would be an option going forward. Then again, maybe I'm just reading into it too much. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Anyhow, let me wrap this one up. Tarzan Triumphs came out in 1943. It was produced by Saul Lesser, starred Johnny Weismuller, Francis Gifford, and Johnny Sheffield. Honestly, it's got a lot of action, adventure, and humor, maybe even a hint of romance. And in any case, you can read into it however you want about the propaganda message, but basically, Tarzan here goes to war against the German forces, but at the same time, it's got a lot of the elements from Tarzan films, the antics of Cheetah, and so on, that I've come to enjoy, and I think it's a great film. It's really a lot of fun, and it's one worth checking out.